All right, A24 Civil War movie. I'm just going to talk about some spoilers real quick. So, ye been warned, there's going to be spoilers here. So, in no particular order, but I'll start with this image. This absolutely was one of the coolest parts in the whole movie. This is Jesse Plemons. And before I saw the movie, when I saw the trailer, obviously thought there was going to be a lot more action and fighting in it. But then I learned that it's a journalist story. But I was like, I know military stuff and I know gun stuff, and I'm gonna call this movie out when I go see it. And I was like, look at his fingers on the trigger. See, that's not good trigger discipline. He should be like this, right? Finger off the trigger. But it turns out he is actively executing people right here, and so his finger is on the trigger, and that actually fits what he's doing right there. So I can't call that out. Another interesting thing about him right here is his uniform. He doesn't have any name tapes on or patches on his arms. The only patch he has on, and you can't really see it, it's right here, you can see the bottom of it, is the combat infantryman's badge. But it's a little dark right there in the screen, but he has it right there. That's the only thing he has. Okay, some of the most intense and cool fighting of the movie is when the Western forces are attacking basically Washington, D.C. and the White House. Like they just go full on action. And this is at the very, very end of the movie. And this is kind of what I was saying in my other review, where the Western forces are the like G.I. Joe, patriotic, very militaristic, very tactical, and they are just going to town in the White House, but also in Washington D.C. And it's cool to watch it. It's like, oh, this is cool action. But then I'm like, oh, holy crap! Like that's Washington D.C. and these are American uniformed people killing American uniformed people. Like that was awful, but it looked really cool, but horrible to watch. And as far as the politics go of this movie, like I don't think it's as politically neutral as everybody's saying. However, I don't think there are 100% defined political lines that match our political lines, but there's just these things throughout the movie that are caricatures, extreme caricatures of existing American stereotypes that they show on screen that definitely each one of those portrayals does lean a certain way. And it seems like mostly right leaning things are shown in a negative light. Just like this guy, for example, is he straight up just kills a guy because he's from Hong Kong. He's like, "You're not American. You have an accent. Like, I'm going to kill you." And it's like, so they're taking people that are like that maybe wouldn't kill people and just kind of escalating it here. I'm not saying that the believing that way is a good thing, but I'm saying that the stereotypes that they have are extreme and seem to be leaning one way in a more negative way. But then again, the president that the Western forces is trying to depose is a third term president who has gotten rid of the FBI. So it it doesn't line up really with our politics, but if you take little bits of it, you can see where like they're inspired by our politics. Okay, so actually leading up to this scene was one of the dumbest things in the whole movie. It's when the two cars are driving that full of journalists and they start like switching cars back and forth. And the part in the movie trailer was like, look at this crazy thing, like someone's getting yanked from one car to another. It's like, no, they're just being idiots and climbing from one car to another. That was really stupid. And it was clear on that scene that the movie was like, okay, how do we separate these characters and how do we get them with this scary guy? Oh, I know, let's have them be like young and wild and reckless and switch cars while they're driving. It was stupid, and I did not believe that part. That was probably the dumbest part of the whole movie. Well, maybe the Kirsten Dunst ending part in the White House was maybe tied for second dumbest part. But it just started feeling like someone writing like, how do I get these characters here? I know this. It just didn't feel natural for their characters. I thought it was dumb. All right, and I already mentioned this in my other review that I really thought it was kind of extreme and not believable how close the journalists were to the action. Like they were basically clearing rooms with people to the point where they're in the White House at the end of the movie, they're like going room to room with these people and they're like popping out into the line of fire to take pictures. And I get it that they're showing like the snapshots that they take, and they are incredible pictures. So I don't know if they're saying they should risk their life to get such good pictures, but I just thought it was so stupid that they were risking themselves so wildly to get these shots like in the middle of a firefight. They're like, ooh, now I'm gonna run across the hallway and take a picture. And it's just like, goodness sakes. And then the young girl, I guess she just gets too into it, and she's like, I'm gonna go stand in the middle of the hallway in the middle of a gun battle and make this other wiser girl dive in front of me and totally get killed, and I'm just gonna take pictures while she's getting killed. I hated that part. However, I don't want to say it fit the character, but I thought that young girl was so stupid to just be like, I'm gonna stand in the hallway now, and then the smarter girl gets killed. So that was her death was stupid, but like the other guy's death, the old guy's death, where they're like, oh, his death was for nothing. Her death wasn't for nothing because they got like all these good pictures, but like I hated that part. And I think everyone else in the theater did. Like I could feel the like mental focus of the theater just break on that part. Like people were like, "Oh, that was our hero, and she's dead in a stupid way." So people just checked out on that part. Okay, and the very ending, a lot of people actually have a problem with. I actually thought was cool. It's where the the well, you can't really say bad guys because it seems like everyone's a bad guy in this movie. But the Western forces going through the White House, they kill the president, and then like the end credits are like them all posing smiling with his dead body, and it's like that's like really disturbing. But I think so the alliances in this movie are completely unrealistic, and I think they did that on purpose. Like I think it would take 5 minutes of googling to be like which states would be on which teams. Like really it would. um, so I don't think that's the point of the movie, is like, ooh, Texas and California are on the same team. Like no, that's not the point. The point is the way things happen. And I think an extremely aggressive separatist military force, like attacking the White House like that aggressively, like that is a very, I don't want to say very American way to do it, but it felt plausible. Like the way, again, not the teams. The teams are not plausible. They are very much opposite plausible. They're completely unrealistic. But just the fact that the American forces fighting each other, it just very aggressively, and then you just had one that was bigger that was just like pushing super aggressively. That felt plausible. Anyway, overall, certain parts of this movie were super ultra disappointing, and then there was some veiled, sneaky little things like when they're like, she took the Antifa massacre photo that made her famous, and it's like, oh, okay. But yeah, that's been some of my spoiler thoughts on this movie. The trailers were a little bit misleading. I could hear the people behind me talking about that the trailers were misleading. But I think if you get the idea that it's like a road trip journalist movie that's portraying journalists as like this noble thing to portray the truth. Overall, pretty good movie. May we never do or wish for anything remotely like this ever, because it's awful. What'd you think of this movie? What'd you think of my takes on these parts of this movie? This stupid car switching part being unrealistic and unbelievable, president dying being crazy, and like Washington D.C. battle being awesome, but like kind of terrifying watching uniformed Americans kill uniformed Americans. That was kind of disturbing. When I looked up the photojournalist from World War II, Lee Miller, she's quite the character. It was an interesting reference in this movie to her. All right, what'd you think of this movie? Good, bad, indifferent? Do you think it leans one way or the other politically? I think it's mostly politically neutral, but there's a little hints there of, like I said, of the extreme caricature portrayal. So let me know what you think. Watch my longer non-spoiler review that's available as well, and my short one as well. If you like this kind of thing, stick around. See you later. Bye.